afternoon. Uh, Before I proceed, I just want to know a little about the audience. How many of you have participated in an EU project? Is there anybody in the audience who have? Okay, one. How many of you have heard of the European Union sponsorships of projects? And one, two, okay, three, four. Yes. Okay. So what we are going to say in the next few slides are actually internal deliberations. Some of them may sound irrelevant to you because some of the action points are for the European Union and members of the working groups. But some of them would be takeaways for you also, because we would like you to see that here is a window which is very unique and very interesting, not just from a funding perspective, but from a science and technology and research perspective. So, as Ashok has said, we have been working all of yesterday, and we talked of various things. We tried to capture them. You must understand these have been cut in a very short fashion, so they may be slightly haphazard, but we try to put in as much order as several people visiting us. In fact, we have about we had 5 or 6 visitors to IIT Kanpur as part of the program we have participated in, and some of them have stayed for a month, and of course one person stayed only for a day. We don't know why he has to go. I mean, there was a family problem, but by and large it appears that there are a larger number of Indians willing to travel there than the larger number of Europeans coming to India. So we tried to see what could be the reason, and we found it may be a chicken and egg problem. If they stay long enough, they will find that actually it has a professional benefit, and then they carry that story back, and then it goes on. But get the first person to stay long enough is the chicken and egg problem. We'll talk of this problem again later in the case of Infosys, who have some interesting statistics. So we try to ask this question: what makes the interaction or collaboration beneficial? What is there for Europe and European Union institutes and organizations to collaborate with us, and what is there for us to work with them? And we try to identify some examples. We will elaborate this a little more later, but essentially we are looking for mutual benefit. That has to be understood. It's not a one-way street. Everybody, both the parties has to gain, and otherwise it won't work in a long term. Another issue which is very critical is intellectual property rights. When we together solve a problem, who gets the benefit of the IP? Because somebody is paying for it and somebody has worked for it. And for those of you who don't know, who may be wondering about what happens to IP, before the collaboration starts, the group of institutes which are participating actually decide on what how the IP is going to be shared. Is it going to be in public domain, or are you going to share 60, 40, 50, 30, or whatever. So if you have IP related issues in mind, be assured that that can be negotiated even before the project starts. You can stop me if you have any questions. So we were then talked about some core areas where we can work together. You must understand this is about audiovisual and internet platforms. So obviously we would look at more of those issues than anything else. So one of the things is a major initiative that is happening in Europe called the Future Internet, and I will talk about it again a little later. Future Internet is trying to create the next generation internet platform, and this is potentially going to be a major source of projects and activities and infrastructure development, research, applications, and so on. And India is one of the fastest growing internet markets, and there's enormous excitement about how net can transform our society. So that is one area of interest. So it's an action point is for us to check whether see, the future internet infrastructure is supposed to be developed on a public-private partnership platform, and we need to check whether European Union is going to fund projects from Indian corporates under this FI platform. And of course, we are a huge market in terms of use cases. So participation in the application space is definitely a major area where we can work. So there are issues about exchanging people because when there are issues of how for what period we can go there, the kind of things they can do, what period they can come, matching of time, the calendars. The students can go at only a certain point of time, and they have to go for a minimum period of time. It's not attractive sometimes, and so on. But that is an action point internally for us. Apparently, in Europe, you have something called Pan-European Lab, which is basically whenever they develop some technology, they would like to check it out on multiple countries, multiple socio-linguistic situations. And one of the recommendations or opportunities we saw was maybe we can set up some branches in India in some universities or some institutes. That's what the second point says. And the European Technology Platform is basically a collection of bodies, institutes and universities, which are again talking about experiments of various kinds, and maybe we can set up an equivalent of that in India. One of the major things we realized is Europe and India are very, very similar, especially in terms of multilingual societies that we have. And Europe has a huge amount of experience in creating ICT applications where we have application running in different linguistic contexts, and we are trying to do the same. India also has a huge experience in building systems which work across multiple Indian languages. We also have technologies which can do automatic translation for you. For example, IIIT Hyderabad, your local institute, is the leading research organization. We also have experience in handling multilingual content. So this is definitely going to be an area where we can share experiences and try to come out with something together. Okay. So basically the objective is to elaborate on topics that India and Europe are both examining and see what we can do together. This is a small slide which talks about the future internet. Can you see it at the back? Yeah? Yeah, okay. So I think I will take this and explain. The future internet project is going to run in multiple phases. Essentially, we can say in the first phase we will talk about developing the technology, the infrastructure issues, and in the second phase we talk about applications built on top of that infrastructure. So the first 2 years, the project is going to start in December this year. So in first 2 to 3 years, the infrastructure is going to be developed, and then after that applications are going to work on. The call for project participation in infrastructure projects is already over. Projects have been selected, and go to the EU site and check out what the projects are. There's some very interesting technical issues that are being talked about. So, so what it says is use case scenarios are basically the application areas in which we are going to work, and those of you who are interested in participating in EU projects, that those calls will come one of these days, and stay on the alert. In the audiovisual space, there are a large number of issues which can be